You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
It's Monday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern to be specific. You've arrived at the correct place with expert timing. Apologies. I appear to be rhyming. It's Mission Log Live, everybody. My name is Mike Richards.
And I'm Heather Ray Barker. Don't worry. I won't be singing. You don't want me to sing. In fact, I'm depending on Alan to call in and do the singing. But in the meantime, I'm excited to be back for another fantastic episode of Strange New Worlds. This week, we're talking about Subspace Rhapsody. I know everyone is so excited. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And we have not one, but two very special guests who we will introduce you to in a little bit. But please call in. You guys know what to do.
Hit the Zoom link, enter the code, get into the Earl green room. Come talk to us. We're going to bring on Bill Wolkoff and Dana Horgan here in a little bit, co-writers of Subspace Rhapsody. And Heather, you appear to be bringing a certain energy.
Am I making you sweat, Mike?
Always. I think these lights that Jessica had me turn on are making me sweat. Who do we have in the live chat tonight? We got Dave Takechi in the live chat, as well as Alan, Paul Wright, P Dubs. How you doing tonight, sir? Quasar Sniffer, Jim McMahon saying we need all the other Pauls to get in here. JLV. And Dave Takechi says, careful, Mike, the danger's not over yet. Get in the chat, talk to us, and come and enjoy this Mission Log Live event with us. Don't forget to use your night bots. That's an exclamation with a command after that. Exclamation point Zoom for the Zoom link. Exclamation point Patreon for our Patreon information. And exclamation point subscribe for an easy way to subscribe to the Roddenberry YouTube channel. Although, it can't get much easier than just clicking a button, can it?
That's a lot of exclamation points.
So many exclamation points. In fact, I was trying to find the commands on our document, and I did just a control F on exclamation points, and there were like 26 of them in there. So yeah, we're so excited about this episode, not to mention. Heather, why don't you catch us up on what's been going on the Roddenberry podcasts this week?
Okay. I'll do that in a quick second. Happy birthday to Ashley. Happy birthday to Erin. Happy anniversary to Shar and her hubby. I just had to send that out there because it's their day. So we love you and yay.
And that's Charlene Smith, co-host of Mission Log Prodigy and
yes,
co-host of Mission Log Live.
Yes, she filled in for me last week, which thank you, Shar. And you might see Shar a few more times this season. I would not would look forward to that for sure. Okay, this week in Roddenberry podcast, we have let's see, we reconnected with the Maquis last week, and now it's time to dig into a story with a fair dose of contemporary relevance. Norman and John pick apart critical care, coming out this Thursday on Mission Log. Side note, if you're a Patreon member, you already would have access to Mission Log Uncut. And you would be talking about this in our Discord. I've already seen comments about how great the episode is, so you don't want to miss this one. What about genealogy?
Genealogy, don't miss the special episode looking back at DeForest Kelley with our pal Larry Nemechek. That's Dr. Trek, not a real doctor. Genealogy will be on hiatus for a few weeks, so it's the perfect time to catch up on some of the amazing stories of discovering Gene's earliest work. Use the command !genealogy to find out more. And the Trek Files drops its season finale tomorrow with an extended bonus episode. Once again, Larry Nemechek in conversation with Jonathan Frakes about the famous TNG Season 3 finale and Season 4 opener, Best of Both Worlds, and a whole range of other topics. Then the Trek Files will be on hiatus. Check back for a return date soon. There's a command code for that. Exclamation point, Trek Files to find out more.
All of those and more are available wherever you download your favorite podcasts, and you can see the whole lineup as well at podcasts.roddenberry.com.
All right, now here's Heather, who's going to try to get through the recap before breaking into a 17th century sea shanty.
Okay, I promise I'm not gonna sing, but it did take me like 3 hours to write this recap. So please bear with me. I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can, and I expect a lot of applause at the end for my hard work. Okay.
Guaranteed.
On the far edges of the Alpha Quadrant, the Enterprise has encountered a naturally occurring subspace fold. Spock takes the opportunity to try a new science experiment that could triple the speed of subspace communications, but it renders the rest of the crew reliant on Uhura's impeccable skill as a switchboard operator of the 23rd century. And let me tell you, that job does not look easy. Across the ship, wheels are in motion. Pike tells Captain Battelle to put a pin on it regarding their upcoming first vacation. Una and La'an await Lieutenant Kirk's arrival, and Una picks up on a certain energy her security officer is carrying. La'an came in hot. She's on fire, and Una soon finds out that Kirk and La'an already knew each other. In sickbay, Chapel nervously reads a message from Dr. Corby and learns she's been accepted to the Fellowship, which means 3 months away from the Enterprise and a serious conversation with Spock. Speaking of Spock, he's with Uhura and Pelia in engineering. Their attempts to solve the communications issue are unsuccessful. Inspired by Uhura's humming, Pelia proposes transmitting music through the subspace fold, reasoning that fundamental harmonics might work if standard communications fail. Uhura selects a song from Anything Goes, which they broadcast, and the song echoes throughout the ship. Subsequently, Spock begins singing involuntarily during his status report, and this effect spreads to the crew as they all start singing about their roles in the ship. Most unusual, so peculiar. So that happened. The crew gathers for an emergency meeting in the ready room as they try to understand exactly what did happen. Spock explains that sending a song into the subspace field essentially caused the ship to slip into a musical reality, one to which they've become tethered, so their random bouts of singing are likely far from over. But don't worry, no one's turning into a bunny. Spock proposes solving the issue, closing the probability field by combining shield harmonics with the Heisenberg compensator to generate a beam. As Uhura and Spock work on the solution, Spock oversteps a boundary and asks Uhura about the contents of Chapel's transmission from Dr. Corby. When Uhura realizes they're dating, she suggests that he ask her about it himself instead of waiting, but he tells her that they've had trouble communicating lately. Meanwhile, Una and Kirk are working in the Jeffries tubes and discussing the best way to be a first officer when Una breaks into song and quotes Jim Quirk, "We're singing again." Okay, I messed that up. This time in a Gilbert and Sullivan style rendition, a callback to Una and Spock's short trek Q&A. We move from connecting to our truth to La'an's introspective solo. After reflecting on Una's newfound ease and embracing her authentic self, La'an sings about giving up control, breaking away from her paradigm, and the alternate reality where she fell in love with James T. Kirk. In the turbo lift, she tells Captain Pike, when people sing, they are confessing highly personal emotional information, suggesting the singing could be a security threat. Soon after, Pike finds himself in the predicament when Captain Battelle hails him on the bridge, and their private conversation, the one about their frustrations, turns into a public viewing event for the bridge crew, which La'an promptly shuts down, reminding Pike of her warning. Moments later, we learn the probability field is expanding to the entire fleet. In another emergency meeting, they learn that the anomaly has begun to spread throughout the fleet. Uhura suggests that because they're in a musical reality, they're following the rules of a typical musical. When their emotions are heightened, they find themselves compelled to sing. Pike promptly suggests that they blow up the subspace fold. Spock notes that his ridiculous suggestion has merit, and Kirk promptly volunteers himself and La'an to test that theory. However, La'an is afraid she's going to confess her feelings to Kirk, prompting her to refuse the assignment. Una recognizes La'an's fear of singing in front of Kirk, and she breaks into song, offering sage advice to La'an about how suppressing your feelings can actually do more harm than good. Scenes across the ship reflect other crew members who may be good at keeping secrets, too. Hang in there, guys. La'an works successfully with Kirk, and when he tells her they should team up more often, she nearly tells him how she feels. Unfortunately, she's cut off as an explosion reverberates throughout the entire ship. The test to see if they could destroy the fold has backfired, nearly destroying engineering in the process. Spock explains that if they were to attempt to go through with the plan, they would obliterate every ship affected by the anomaly. To make matters worse, they receive a message from the Klingons who make it clear they're on a mission to destroy the fold. Spock and Uhura go to trigger another song so that they can study the frequency and tone, which may be used to solve their predicament. They find Chapel celebrating her fellowship acceptance. Spock's congratulations and confusion as to why she hadn't told him yet lead Chapel to erupt into song, an exhilarating declaration that she's ready to move on. The sky's the limit, the future is infinite, and Spock isn't in it. From public breakup to private confession, Lon takes control of her own feelings to explain to Kirk why she's been acting so odd. Despite being aware of the consequences of telling him about the alternate timeline, she explains the way that Kirk helped change her paradigm by showing her the potential of who she could be. He made her realize that that she could dare to hope, take chances, and make romantic connections with other people. She tells him that while she's not exactly like that version of himself, this Kirk also looks at her like he genuinely sees her. Unfortunately, as much as Kirk feels drawn to her, he confesses he's currently in a relationship with a scientist on Starbase One, and she's currently pregnant with their son. Dum dum dum. Spock is back in engineering, brooding as he analyzes the data that he's gathered with Uhura when she walks in. Spock's in shock. He didn't expect such finality from Christine. This news really changes everything. And now we're back into song again as Spock's ballad echoes Chapel's. Literally, they have the same melody and mathematical metaphor. Clearly going through it, Spock abandons Uhura once the song ends, picking up the tune she was humming at the beginning of the episode. Uhura moves into her own melody, going back over her own story of loss and isolation before realizing the answer lies in keeping everyone connected. Uhura brings her realization to the captain, explaining that to break out of the musical reality, the entire crew needs to rally together for a grand finale. Pike opens a channel and gives Uhura the courage to be the one to motivate the entire crew to sing together in unison. She leads the crew to disrupt the chaos, and each main crew member chimes in to play their part. Spock won't miss the singing. James Kirk might make captain someday. Ming is miraculously cured of his PTSD as he dances around sickbay, and Pike hails the Klingon who bursts into 90s boy band K-pop fusion number. With every voice on the ship harmonizing as one, the Enterprise is finally able to break free, and the crew revels in the elation and endorphins that come from performing together. Spapple may be over, but Lon is ready to take more risks. Pike and Battelle are communicating better and finally planning that vacation when she breaks the news that she's leaving on a Priority 1 mission. Pike asks Uhura to open a channel to share their findings with non-Federation ships in the area when she suddenly starts humming. And don't worry, just an earworm. And sorry, guys. I'm sorry it was so long at the end.
Spapple, that was awesome. And was that Klingon K-pop, or do we call that K-pop?
Yeah, it could be K-pop. That works for me. That works for me. And I'm sorry. As I said in the pre-show, I was often criticized in English for being too descriptive. And all I will say is that this episode is just way too awesome to leave out any of the details. Also incredibly difficult to write a synopsis for when I had to keep stopping to sing along with all the songs. So I did my best.
And do you know what made this episode so awesome, everybody? Dana Horgan and Bill Wolkoff, who we have on the show right now.
Yes.
Hugo nominated, Emmy nominated for this show. Love to have them on and hear your thoughts. Other folks have done musical episodes before, right? We've got Grey's Anatomy, we've got Scrubs, we've got a show that shares a lot of DNA with Star Trek. That's Fringe, right? For obvious reasons. What was the impetus behind doing a musical episode on Strange New Worlds?
Bill. Hello. Heather, first I have to say that was an amazing, amazingly detailed and amazing recap.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's been an appetite to do a musical episode of Star Trek for a long time, and we were lucky to be, the first show that got to do it. I think Akiva and Henry opened our season 2 room by saying we want to do a musical, and both Dana and I were determined to be the ones to write that, and we did.
Yes, we did.
We both love musicals.
Bill, I think a lot of it came from you had an idea of how we could do the Star Trek version of a musical, like how it would make the most sense in our world. Do you wanna talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
So it would be different, like a musical that could only exist in Star Trek.
I mean, the science is sound.
Spock explained it in such a way that even I almost understood.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. Yes. But there's an actual um, theory about the end of the universe, the heat death of the universe, and if enough time elapses, and our particles are, and we're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of years here, that if enough time elapses, there's a legitimate scientific theory that oops, we froze there slightly. Oops, sorry. That with if enough trillion after the heat death of the universe and just the particles start drifting off and then bouncing back into each other after several trillion years, a piano will spontaneously form in outer space, and that was in the improbability of all those particles bashing.
Well, I mean, that's just common sense. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I credit Katie Mack, who wrote about all the ways that the universe can end in the end of everything, and that we just decided to condense that in from several trillion years into subspace, and it can happen right away and suddenly create a musical reality, and that's the science, the very sound science behind.
That's right.
It sounds great. And, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Everything Everywhere All at Once with Michelle Yeoh, who's famous for her Trek appearances. And where instead of going to different universes with hot dog fingers and other musical, they're just sort of getting trapped between their normal reality and the one where everybody sings. So yeah, I was definitely on board. Was this a tough sell to any other performers? Was this, we do high concept sci-fi, I'm not going to do a musical? Did that happen without naming names? Or feel free to name names.
I think so.
The opposite.
Everybody was very, very game and very on board, and that is how we knew we could do this. When we had a full cast that was like, all right, let's go. We will do rehearsals, we will do recordings. Like they were in from the jump, which
that
was
makes me so happy to hear that. Several accomplished singers, obviously, in the cast. Anybody that maybe was not as gifted as anybody else and you had to crank the auto tune up to 11, feel free to name names or not.
We had ringers, obviously.
Yeah,
We had, Celia Rose Gooding came from Broadway and has been nominated for both Tony and a Grammy.
Christina Chong, not bad.
Rebecca.
Rebecca's done musicals before. Christina had never done a musical before, but she's an amazing singer and really wanted to do it. And since our episode, she's released a couple albums.
Yeah. No, I think there were some that leaped in more confidently, but everybody, I think some people surprised even themselves, maybe how lucky they were. Like we were just so blessed and so lucky that everybody just rose up, really just jumped in with both feet on this one.
Please tell me that there's a 17th century sea chanty somewhere in the bonus material that was written and recorded.
It was written.
Oh, without a doubt.
It was written.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mona in the chat is saying that Anson Mount was not a great singer, and I read, I think in the wiki on this, that Anson was encouraged to listen to William Shatner's spoken word albums as inspiration. I didn't know if that was true or not.
I don't think that's sorry to dispel myth. I personally,
a wonderful singer.
Yes. He was. I don't believe he listened to William Shatner's wonderful spoken word albums to get inspiration for this.
Well, I tell you what, speaking of wonderful singers, we're going to break format just a little bit because we have Alan Simonis, just over from the Earl Green Room. We want to chat with Alex. Alan, he is a mainstay of this show. To have him on here to ask questions or just, Alan, the pressure's on, man. We got folks up and down the chat demanding that you sing.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. First of all, Captain Mike, good to see you. Heather, good to see you. So pleased to see our guests here today. Hope this doesn't land anybody in any legal issues. First, I'd just like to say that I'm shocked to learn that the restaurant at the end of the universe has a piano bar. But yeah, it's been requested, and since this is the musical episode of Strange New Worlds, I don't know if I could sum up my feelings for this show in mere words. But when I think about it, I watch the show and I look at this ship. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think it's the best in Starfleet? Looking around, you'd say, sure, it's got everything. Look at this crew, stories untold. Wherever they go, well, they'll go bold. Wouldn't you say, hey now, sure, they've got everything. They've got phasers and scanners aplenty. They've got hypos and bulkheads galore. You want missions? So far they've done 20, but who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be on the Enterprise. I want to live in the Federation, warping along through that, what do you call it? Ha, space. Living on Earth, you don't get too far. We're seeking new life and new civilizations, stopping for fuel at that, what's that word again? Base. Out where they warp, out where they stun, time travel with a trip round the sun. In Starfleet I'd be, wish I could see those strange new worlds. What would I give if I could live in that bright future? What would I say just not to pay 'cause everything's free? Oh, what the heck, if I could trek, I'd even clean the warp reactor. A bright young ensign, no one could fence in, ready to see, and ready to go where my captain goes. Open my comm link and get some orders. What's a transporter and why don't I, what's the word? Die! Come on, let's fly, no need to fear, as we explore that final frontier. This starship's for me, wish I could see those strange new worlds.
Oh my gosh.
That was incredible.
The
Alan
preceding
brought
3.5
it.
minutes have been parody, fair use for purposes of United States
Yeah,
copyright.
trust us, we're not making any money off of this.
No, trust me.
Alan, I had to mute myself because I was so overcome with emotion. That was fantastic. Dana and Bill, this is what Mission Log Live is all about.
Welcome to
Oh
the
my
party.
God.
I
That
love
was
that so much. That was incredible.
That was,
That was-
and some wine arrived appropriately during the song.
it
So
should-
He was
we toast you out.
amazing.
Well, thank you.
just watching the reactions of the other folks on the screen was fantastic. Alan, how long did it take you to pen that masterpiece?
Well, sorry, Heather. I was rewatching the episode last night, and I got halfway through Christina's number, and I was like, "Oh, a want song." I was like, "Wait a minute, what is the penultimate want song?"
You.
So there's a world's strange new world. Oh God, and at that point it was kismet. It had to be done.
Amazing. Amazing. That I cannot express to you how much I loved that. I loved that so much.
Well, it is my pleasure. It is my salute to you for producing such such a great show.
It's
So
his gift. It is his curse. Bill and Dana, when you wrote this, did you? I mean, uh, I know you never know how something's going to be received until it's out there for the world to consume. But did you anticipate this being as beloved an episode as it has been?
You just hope that
Yeah.
it's gonna. I mean, it was a we both. Dana and I first met working on another show called Once Upon a Time, and that was right when a musical that you might have heard of called Hamilton was coming out, and we were both completely geeking out on it, and we became
Yeah, and I mean,
theater buddies.
both giant musical theater fans and musical fans. And I think we went into this episode with, we have to make it so that we love it.
Yeah.
And that's just that's our guiding light here is just make something that we feel honors both Star Trek and musicals and expresses love for them both. And as long as we keep focused on that, we then, I mean, whenever you make any TV, like any TV, any movie, anything, you do it to the best you can. You do it so you love it, and you just throw it out to the world and hope that other people love it too. And I think that was sort of what kept us on. That was our guiding light for that. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so true to yourself, which is really a recurring theme in this episode. Alan, what
Yeah.
questions do you have for Bill and Dana?
Oh, I don't want to take up too much time. I know we've got a lot of people, but yeah, that's I just feel like if there is no other lesson from your experience writing this episode and my experience here tonight is that there's no limits when you decide to impose yourself on other people. So it's all good. So with that, I'll yield the airwaves to our friend Chris, and assimilator, everybody.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for the time
Alan.
you put into that.
I have to butt in. I have to butt in and just say, I love that you mentioned Hamilton. There are two musicals in my top repeated playlist for 2023 and 24, and they are Hamilton and A Strange New World soundtrack. So it's well, this Subspace Rhapsody, just that specific soundtrack. So you're even like those are the two that I listen to. So you're right there, even in my book.
That's not bad company to be in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just before we bring Chris on, we want to just throw a very special thank you to everybody who entered the Factory Entertainment giveaway. Be sure to swing by and see Factory Entertainment at San Diego Comic-Con and STLV, and be sure to tell them that Mission Log sent you. And if you use the discount code Mission Log, you can get 10% off. And I'd love to have that Borg Queen replica behind me, but I didn't win it. A guy from Pennsylvania won it, so hopefully that showed up at their house already. Once again, the discount code is Mission Log, and you can also see the information by typing !Factory Ent into the live chat. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Hello, Captain Mike. Good to see you. Good to see you, Heather, Bill, and Dana. Glad you're on. Yeah, I really like this. It's a wonderful show. I think back to the Buffy musical as sort of people hold that as kind of like the high bar because it matters to the plot, right? It is integral to the arc of the season in the same way that Rhapsody is integral, I would say. And so related to that, I'm curious about sort of the production timeline. Did the songs come first? Did the script come first? Sort of how did you, because they mesh so well together. It is really one cohesive piece. I'm curious how that came to be.
They were.
It was kind of simultaneous. We knew, sorry, but I don't do
You go for it.
We knew where the characters were in the season and where we wanted to take them. And as we sat down and started working through the plot in the episode, it was, okay, who needs what kind of song where? And we sort of started with that idea and then roughed out the general shape of what each character needed to accomplish what we needed to get from their character in that song, and then we went to the songwriters.
Yeah.
As we were writing the script, and as they were writing the songs, we were writing the script, and we were all in constant communication, going back and forth, and it was very collaborative. Yeah.
And just a few examples of Nurse Chapel singing about it's her time. She's put the work in. She's ready to move on to this next rewarding thing. Number one, singing about finding the way to be connected with her crew and not maintaining that professional distance, to seeing the advantage there. Spock, understanding that he's half human and that hurts, and his Vulcan side's logical. Maybe this is what causes him to push away that human side and embrace his Vulcan side more down the road, as we saw in TOS Spock. All of these things from these characters that speaks to and informs their character development during this journey that we've seen them on so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even like I was thinking, like the little things, like the visual of her at the switchboard and keep you connected, or the one that popped out to me, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it's in Rebecca's song. She says, "Cut like a knife," and it cuts to Mbanga, and this is right after last week, 208. And just stuff like that. Like it feels like a real tried and true musical in which like the book and the songs work together to sort of make the whole. And I just want to congratulate you guys on that. Like I always say, you can't do a musical 50%. You have to commit to the bit, and you guys committed. All of the cast committed. Tom and Kay committed, and I think that's why it succeeded so much. Is that everyone sort of understood they had to bring that energy, and that's what made it, I think, a really special episode.
That is what you just said there is something we said in the room almost every day. And then going forward as we were producing it, you can't do a musical 50%. If you're in, you're in. And you go in and you search for the paths that bring the most joy, that take you on the biggest character journey, and you don't be afraid of the genre. And that was sort of our mantra of do the genre. We're Star Trek, we're a sci-fi show, but we're gonna do the musical as if we were a musical show. And that was sort of we said that almost every day in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've seen Westerns in Star Trek. We've seen high stakes sci-fi. We've seen Roman, Greek, World War II, and now musicals. What any other genre you want to explore in the remaining episodes of Strange New Worlds?
and then suddenly the NDAs.
We start talking and then everything gets like bleeped out. We got a bunch.
All right, so you're working on something. That's exciting.
I'd love to do another musical.
Yes.
Great. Would be great. Well, you're about to see season 3. That's coming out imminently.
Yes.
And I mean, I think it is safe to say that we don't shy away from exploring other genres in season 3. So you'll get a taste of some more very soon.
That is phenomenal. Chris, what else have you got for us tonight?
Well, I'm trying to think, what else do I have? I mean, it's fantastic. It's honestly probably one of my favorites, probably top 5, definitely, of the show. And it's just a great time to be able to be here and say thank you I love that you guys and the writers room in general, more broadly, takes these swings, because you get stuff like this, and it's so phenomenal that you never know what you're going to get until you do it. So thank you guys for doing something as exciting and different as this.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Real quick, just wanted to mention our Patreon. Let's take a minute, and Heather's going to talk to us about Patreon and the benefits of joining and becoming a Mission Log patron.
I'm talking about Patreon. I talk about Patreon all the time. You guys are probably sick about me talking about Patreon and how much I love our Discord. But yeah, so I already mentioned one of the bonuses of joining our Patreon, which is that you get access to our unedited episodes of Mission Log. And you get access to our Discord community, which is where I call home, and you get to join us in all of these wonderful conversations. Our dear friend Jane just started talking about Severance. I think I don't remember which night it is, Tuesday nights, when she's available. Jane hops on, and we talk about episodes of Severance and what's going on there. We have Kontiki, which the secret that we told you about last week, that if you plan to go to STLV, every year we have a private party that if you are a member of our Patreon, you get to attend this party, but you have to be on Paul Harvith's list. And Paul Harvith runs Kontiki. So come sign up for Patreon, join us on Discord, come and meet Paul, come and hang out with me, hang out with all of us in Kontiki, get to know us, and make sure you get on that list to come to the party. But yeah, there's just so much fun stuff, great people, all the people that you see call in here. Gosh, I don't know, all the cool stuff. I know I'm missing things, but we're rad, we're great. I'll come up with something new to say about how awesome we are next week. But what is our website? Patreon.com/mission log.
That's
trying to find
exactly
it.
right. And that's your
Oh,
ticket to the Mission Log Discord, which gets you into our own private social media account, just like Heather mentioned. And in this toxic wasteland that is social media, our own private Discord server is a respite from all of that. So I did, Bill and Dana, we did promise to give you an off ramp at about the 30-minute mark. We'd love for you to stay. And if you do like to stay, we've got Brandon lined up to talk to you. And Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, thanks for having me, Heather, Mike. It's always great to see you guys. Bill and Dana, if you have to ramp off, I understand. I won't be hurt. But I can ask questions too if you guys are staying.
Please ask.
Ask.
Okay. I mean, first I want to tell you, like, this episode is so good when on paper the idea when I hear Star Trek musical feels like it shouldn't be. And when I looked on IMDb at the episodes that you're both credited for writing, it turns out, oh, that's no surprise. Because Bill, I had the same skepticism about Those Old Scientists. I was like, a crossover, this is gonna, oh man. And then I watched it, and even the sixth watch through, I can't stop laughing. And Dana, Ad Astra per Aspera is one of, I think, the best episodes of Star Trek across all series, and is the kind of episode that is relevant throughout history today, and tragically will probably be relevant again tomorrow. But it's just absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And to bring the scale down from those amazing accomplishments that you guys have, the idea of K-pop Klingons was gold and excellent. And I have probably watched that moment of this episode so many times that if it were on VHS tape, I would have worn it out.
That Kapop definitely deserves some applause.
Beautiful, Mike. Now that I've gushed, I'm curious. I'm sure that you guys have heard people having, mixed opinions about what Strange New Worlds should be as a prequel with some of the overlapping characters. I'm curious, sort of, how do you see that? How do you handle that? Because, especially when you have people like Kirk coming in, man, it's a big risk that it's going to run away and be the James Kirk show. And what, if anything, that you can talk about, do you sort of keep in mind about what do you want it to be or not be?
Well, we're in this era, and I mean that's really what we can and when I say we as a collective writers room really occupy. That's the it's been a gift to Dana and I to be able to come into the show that exists in an unexplored era of Star Trek history. I mean, Akiva Goldsman and Henry Myers, our showrunners, have often joked that Strange New Worlds was the longest pilot to series pickup in television history. If you count, the cage or the menagerie as our pilot. And that's just what we're doing is we're just living in this era right now with these characters. We have to, obviously there's canon that we do honor, and we try to in our as much as possible to honor that canon, but also take risks and fully occupy this time period. So that's really what we're thinking about, and so we have canon characters that like Kirk who exist in this era, but are not. He's not the Kirk that we know from original series, and it's just the gift of getting to like play in this space that is not has not been occupied by tent poles yet, and we're the ones hitting those stakes down and saying, I think a tent can hold up here. Hopefully it will.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
but would Jeffrey Hunter have put on an April and made beef bourguignon?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's I think that's always the sort of risk when you and a tricky space to operate in when you have a prequel, and I don't envy having to sort of navigate that kind of thing when you compare it to something that's like the later seasons of Discovery in the far future, where it can be like, yeah, I mean, we don't have to worry about what's coming next because we get to decide that. And I think that, I mean, I've really loved how Strange New Worlds has done that, especially with exploring the smaller like role or smaller characters we didn't get much time with in the past, or entirely new characters like Ortegas. I mean, big hint, because like I just love her, and look forward to much more with her. So, and just
There will
amazing.
be more Ortegas this
Yes,
season.
more Ortegas this season. Oh, you did a tease.
That is
That
like
is-
that's wonderful news. Thank you.
That really is not only more Ortegas, but more Melissa Navia is just fantastic.
Yes.
So such a wonderful human.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time and for talking to us and to me, and for the incredible, just absolutely fantastic Star Trek you guys are writing.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
And thank you, Brandon, for calling in. You guys up for another caller?
Sure.
All right, we've got Mark on the line with us. Mark's coming to us from, he's sharing similar territory as yourselves right now.
Yes, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh,
Nice.
hello.
Hello.
Actually, over on the island.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Hello,
Well, thanks for. What's that? Sorry, I didn't miss that.
Hello, neighbor.
Yes. Very much so. I wanted to come in and talk about two things. First one, a little more fun. I've only seen this episode once or twice, but it's a favorite of my boomer parents who were both born in the 1950s. They've watched this episode 6 or 7 times and they love it. So that's a testament to something. But for me, I wanted to come on and ask, you do a singing episode, but part of me as an individual with autism who has hearing sensitivity, part of me wonders how the crew with sound sensitivity on the Enterprise felt with all the singing that was going on in this episode. Because the big thing is, if you don't know it, for people like myself, generally 70 decibels is what neurotypical individuals have where sound starts to bother them. For me, it's 40 decibels of sound. So it's almost half lower than it is. So I wonder, I'm going to assume that autism still exists in the future Star Trek. I'm pretty sure the lower decks crew, parts of the lower decks crew proved that, and maybe Barclay. But I wonder how a crew member with what I deal with would have felt with being on the Enterprise with all the sound and the other things, and how you guys, incorporate might in the future incorporate invisible disabilities into that of making an interesting plot point for characters like myself that don't really love Star Trek since I was born, more or less, spoon-fed it, but haven't had a character yet that quite speaks to me. And I thought I'd ask that. So,
Thank you, Mark. This is a great
Yeah, it's a
question.
great question.
Do you want to?
I mean, I would imagine that just thinking about going into that space of being in a musical universe where this is coming onto the ship and you're not expecting it, it would be a challenge. I mean, it would be a challenge. It would have its, that character would have their own challenges with all of the singing. There is so much singing on the ship. And that would be a very, very interesting story to explore, that the other side of that. Yeah.
I would echo that.
Yeah.
And I think part of what makes Star Trek, the umbrella of Star Trek, so great is Gene Roddenberry's original vision to really present so many, such a diverse array of beings and people who experience the world in different ways.
That's right. Yeah.
And you raise a great question, and we, I think in our script, we didn't really address how this particular, improbability field, creating a musical reality, would affect people who experience the world differently. But that you've given me, incredible food for thought. As we
imagined it, like every character has a different point of view on this thing that is happening to them. So that would be another point of view to explore.
Yeah.
Like somebody like Una was like, this is great, I can sing, and this is what I've always wanted. And like not everybody would love this. And it would be another perspective to get to explore in the story, for sure.
I think the closest that would come to, Spock is not autistic, but he presents in certain, aspects that maybe adjacent.
He's neurodiverse, actually. He has Vulcan dyslexia.
Yeah. And he didn't like it. He was the first to sing, and he said from the beginning, I don't like this. And even in We Are One at the end, he's kind of glad that
he's like, great, this is over.
He will not miss the singing. I was like, just give him his noise canceling headphones at the end to put on.
And then... He was rocking with the space hippies in Way to Eden, though, so there's something that stuck with him a little bit. Mark, what else you got for the two?
That's just it. I just wanted to mention the reason I came it up is I wrote my master's thesis for urban planning on dyslexia and autism, and how to start designing our cities for people with autism and greater neurodiversity. It's what I do for a living. And so the question of how Star Trek, I thank Star Trek in my line of my thesis at the start of it. So I'm always thinking of how the utopian idealism of Star Trek has always really spoken to me, and is one of the driving pillars that makes me who I am. So being able to see this episode and through the lens of singing, I think really inhibits that infinite diversity and infinite combinations that is what makes me as an autistic individual so neat. So thank you for being able to show that, and I really look forward to seeing more of your episodes if you've got any in season 3. So thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, man. Great call. Thanks so much for calling in. And we are going to scoot over to Andy. Andy, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Norway.
Yeah, right.
What time is it in Norway right now?
Almost 5 o'clock in the morning, but I absolutely adore musicals, so I had to be here for this. It's one of my favorite things, and I even started my own podcast recently about movie musicals, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, do us a favor and put the link to that in the notes when you can in the chat.
Oh, okay. I'll try. Thank you. I remember very well where I was when this episode first came out, because I was at Vegas for STLV. So that'll always be sort of a special memory for me with this. And just when Kirk mentions, not by name, but he mentions Carol, I was like, what? They did not. That was such a cool moment. So yeah, I really like this episode, although Those Old Scientists is probably my favorite so far from Strange New Worlds. And I would just want to ask, okay, what are some of your favorite musicals?
Oh, that's a great question. Into the Woods is my favorite musical of all time. I saw it when I was like 6, and it has pretty much informed my entire life. Bill, I'll let you answer before I continue.
I saw Fame, I think, in a movie theater. It was like when I was really young, as one of my first musical experiences, and in the hot lunch scene, when everybody in the cafeteria starts singing and dancing. I was so jealous. I wanted the world to be that way.
So are you saying you would enjoy a universe in which it became a musical and everybody had to sing? Would this be a joy for you?
It would.
You've heard that here.
It would. You heard
Bill
it
would
here.
like to be in a musical universe.
It would. So I'll go with Fame as one of my first musical experiences. Not that wasn't on stage. That was in a movie theater. But
Right. Let's see, if we're talking movie musicals, I'm gonna say Singing in the Rain. That was very informative. That is a huge favorite. I feel like I have lists and lists, but I don't.
For stage, I'm gonna go with something slightly obscure. One of my favorite musicals was something I saw deep when I was in high school. William Finn's Falsettos.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Not what Yes, I went for a deep cut there. Slightly obscure.
Assassins.
Assassins. I do love Assassins.
I know.
But the whole Falsetto Land and March of the Falsettos I love deeply, and they were combined into just falsettos, where March of the Falsettos is Act 1 and Falsetto Land is Act 2. And it just taught me a lot about how to be a person in our time period growing up. So I love falsettos so much. It's funny and sad and touching, and it's wall-to-wall music. That's like almost an opera.
There you go. You're so thoughtful about this. I'm gonna say Guys and Dolls. It's super fun, and I love Guys and Dolls. I saw it as a very young age.
Yes.
Let's see, what else are we gonna throw out here? Newsies. But the movie
I love Newsies.
like the movie version, right? Right? I mean, okay.
Actually, I've seen the pro shot of the stage show, because that was on Disney Plus. Well, I think it still is, but I love Newsies.
Newsies it's got my heart and soul. I don't know what else. I feel like all we did was talk about musicals while we were doing this.
Damn Yankees was something else that I just can't, yes, I can't get over that musical enough.
Slightly more modern to take us out of the golden age. Come From Away.
Oh,
one of my favorite.
yeah.
The last couple of years. I don't want to know how many years ago it was, because to me it was last year, but if you tell me it was 10 years ago, I'll cry. I loved Come From Away. I thought it blew me away. It was staged beautifully, performed beautifully. It was just, you laughed and you cried up and down all through the musical. I was obsessed.
Well, we definitely got our musical homework cut out for us after
Keep
this.
going.
Keep going.
Cut us off.
Please cut us off.
Andy, what else would you like to ask before we move over to Dr. Nani?
I don't know if I have any more questions. I just wanted to say thank you for all the work you do on this show.
No, thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. No, either get up and start your day or go take a nap. I'm not sure what to suggest at this hour over in Norway.
I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Okay, and now
Well,
calling
see you
in.
guys.
Bye, Andy. And now we've got Dr. Nani coming in from about halfway around the world from
Andy.
Norway,
Yeah,
more or less.
that's true. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Mike. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
I guess
meet you as
talking.
well.
Yes. And Bill and Dana, so happy you guys are here. And Heather, of course, wonderful to see you. I love musicals, so I was absolutely thrilled when this episode came out. In fact, because I'm in Hawaii, it comes out the day before, really late at night, like at 10 p.m. And usually we watched it as a family together, on the evening that it's supposed to come out. And I probably shouldn't be admitting this on something that's going to go into, the internet forever, but I very possibly watched it by myself first, with headphones at night in bed and my iPad, but because I couldn't wait. But one of the things I do whenever I call in, because I teach a class called the Psychology of Star Trek. I'm a psychology professor at the University of Hawaii. And I've been lucky enough to have John and Rod and Norm show up to my class. And I've invited Heather and Mike. Well, Mike, you got invited through John when I did one episode of the Orville that we did.
Well, I would love to get another shot at that.
I will do that again.
Great.
So today I was thinking I would talk about the psychology of music, because obviously you guys knew what you were doing, because if you look at the two pieces with Chapel and Spock, which of course are basically the same song with slightly different key signatures to it, with Chapel's being much more upright and celebratory, as it should be, because she's got this amazing opportunity. Although I did feel really bad for Spock at the end of that, but he pushed. She said, I don't want to talk about it now. See, it's a boundaries thing. We talked about that last week too. If she had listened to his boundaries, he wouldn't have been crushed like that in front of all of the port galley. But then Spock's, of course, hers is surrounded by people. It's celebration. His is in more minor key. And, it's just basically him and Uhura, and he's just, spilling out his heart. And something that a lot of people don't necessarily realize when more so when it's not a musical, but when you've got the music that accompanies shows that you're not really supposed to hear, but it's still supposed to support the show, that plays into it. And so, you guys did it quite beautifully in the musical also. But that was my psychology of music thought for today.
Thank you for that. That was very interesting. I would take your class on the psychology of music. This sounds very, very interesting. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
well, I know it's running late, and I know there's more people, so I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, I appreciate it. While we have you on though, one of the things that struck out on me and there's no way we're going to get to all of our notes and Heather's notes on this, and nobody wants to hear us anyway. But while we have you on, one of the things that struck me with this show is what's called the Morabian rule, or sometimes the 7-38-55 rule, which is when you're communicating, only 7% or so is the words that you actually use. About 38% or so is tone, and about 55% is body language. And with a musical episode, you get things like tone, pitch, pauses, and body language, because there was so much dancing and choreography in this episode. So it allows folks to communicate in a much more complete way, to be vulnerable in new ways. And even though vulnerability does leave you open, it does put you in a better position of strength, because although La'an's conversation didn't go the way she wanted, at least she can now proceed with an accurate assessment of reality. Although Spock's conversation didn't go the way he wanted, at least now he knows where he stands, and that vulnerability becomes a strength. Is that something that the psychology of music sort of bakes into itself with that tone and body language in addition to the words?
Definitely. When you with communication in general, it, like you said, it is multifaceted. And so that's one of the reasons why, texting is such a bad way to communicate for so many reasons, because, you're making a joke and people don't know that you're making a joke, which I find interesting. My kid is Gen Z, and they have tone tags when they text, but I've actually heard them use the tone tags while speaking. Because they want to make sure that the people they're talking to understand I'm being humorous here, or I'm being lighthearted, which I've personally, the first time I heard that, I have to admit, I think I bust out laughing, because it was just like, I can't believe to me, that's like reading the stage directions or something, you know. It's just you're not supposed to say that for, but yeah, apparently they do that. So, but yeah, I'm 30 years older than my kids, so that tells you something.
No, that's
I would have loved to hear La'an's sea shanty though.
We'll have to just put out a recording of it, Bill.
We will.
And the Klingon opera that got cut. I mean, I think K-pop was better for the surprise aspect, but because I think everyone was expecting Klingon opera, but I still want to hear the Klingon opera version.
You can hear that.
I know, but I don't think I even have a DVD player anymore. So, you know, it's one of those things. So
Has somebody put it online? Somebody must.
I have not. Every once in a while I look for it. I have not found it. Admittedly, I haven't searched in the last couple of months, but yeah.
Well, we'll put the entire talent of Mission Log Nation behind that to find it for you.
I just
and
want
post it up when we can.
Brief moment to honor Bruce Horak, who has
Yes.
the voice to be able to sing both Klingon pop, K-pop,
the Klingon pop,
and opera.
Yes.
Which he did in one day. And
one day.
like
he's incredible.
Yes.
He's incredible.
I got to be on Mission Log with him a few episodes ago, so that was totally awesome. And
yeah, friend of the show,
that
Bruce
was amazing.
Horak. Dr. Nani, thank you so much for calling in. Any
Thank
parting
you.
thoughts? All right.
Other than yes, do another musical. I know that like half the world just got mad at me for saying that, but I don't care. I want another musical. You all like it. We like it. Go for it. So.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. John Arminio. John, how are you, sir?
I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
Good. What do you got for us tonight?
You know, one of the reasons why I think this episode was so successful and one of my favorite aspects of like revisiting older characters is what Strange New Worlds has been able to do with Uhura and just given us so much characterization and depth because, you know, we got great moments with Uhura in the original series and then later in the movies, but we just weren't able to explore her as much as obviously we were with Kirk and Spock. But, you know, one of the major aspects of her character from the original series was her musicality. And so I was just wondering, like, was Uhura, like, always the key into the musical episode? Like, was she going to be the linchpin to have the musical rolled out? Or just what was your approach to the Uhura character for this show?
I would say yes. I mean,
Yes.
we started breaking this as Uhura, started talking about this episode always as Uhura's episode, that she was the one that was going to carry us through it. She was our main character that was going to tie all the pieces together. She was going to go on this journey with us. But yes, it was always Uhura. This was about the voice of the Enterprise.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many ways that like revisiting characters that came out 55 years ago can go wrong, and I just want to commend you for doing such a great job of, you know, reminding us of why we love these characters in the first place, but also, you know, giving us more to sink our teeth into. So it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
John, while I got you here, I just wanted to bring this up. There a quote I just couldn't get past me with this episode as I was doing my research for it. Robert Ingersoll, sometimes known as the great agnostic and orator, contemporary of several other Walt Whitman and other famous writers and thinkers of the time, was quoted by saying, "We rise by lifting others." And I couldn't think of Uhura keeping everybody connected, and Pike saying to her, "Look, you see the connections. All anybody else sees is the space between." And then it was her job to lift everybody up and to bring everybody together for that, as Pike put it, sort of ensemble thing that they did at the end. Was that anywhere on your radar, that concept of having that one person to be the catalyst to lift everybody else up and make everybody else better? Because I really think that was the real, as we like to say, message, moral, and meaning behind this episode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's the linchpin for the Enterprise. You know, she becomes the heart and soul of of the episode. And you know, because this is an episode that's not really about the science. Like we get a little bit of a scientific explanation, but it's so much about the emotionality and the connections between the crew and what makes these people work as a coherent group and why they love and respect each other so much. And I think, you know, Uhura is the one that's able to, you know, cross all those wires and, you know, melt all of our hearts. She's the perfect person for this, and she has an amazing voice. And so she can really reach the rest of the crew as much as she reaches the audience.
Well, thanks, John. Thanks for calling in.
Well, thank you.
And we've got our last caller now, Cherie, excuse me, joining us. How are you tonight?
It's either one. It's like Mugatu or Mugato.
Mutago.
It's totally fine.
Speaking of Lower Decks, we have Strange New Worlds animated Lower Deck style.
Yes, you can probably tell from my background what my favorite episode is. So thank you, Bill, so much for that wonderful wonderful episode that is easily one of my favorites and easily the one that I've watched the most of probably any Star Trek episode ever.
And Catelyn, I'm sure would echo thank you if she were here.
Yes. Oh, and I need to thank her for Lynn as well.
Yes.
I love Lynn, and I love listening to interviews, so I know that that's based on her cosplay characters. So cool. And Dana Ad Astra Per Spera is easily my favorite serious episode. So I'm so honored, and thank you for being so generous with your time with the fans. It's so nice of you. I also did want to say that Bill, I have great respect for everything you did during the WGA strikes. I think that's so cool. And it was just so great seeing so many Star Trek people like step up during that time.
Yes.
And you know, just to throw this out there, if you didn't have the background, the reason we're talking about Strange New World Subspace Rhapsody now and not 2 years ago is we stopped doing our review and recap episodes during the writers and actors strike to stand with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I had to like hold it down. Just so long. I would just say after all that, I do have one minor quibble with the episode. I know that you did record the Klingon opera, but I just feel like I was expecting the Enterprise to call the Klingons and be like, oh no, they have it, they're singing, and they'd be like, we always sing. It's Tuesday. What are you talking about?
That would have been really good. Be like,
It's K-pop Tuesday. What do you mean? Man, that general was definitely given some serious Martok energy. Had to do a double check to see if it wasn't J.G. Hertzler behind the eye patch.
But I do love the Klingon K-pop. I would listen to an album of that along with a Klingon acid punk from Lower Decks. I want all the Klingon music.
Specials. We're gonna do this.
Yeah. The world needs more genres explored, you know, through the prism of Klingon.
Yeah.
So we agree.
Well, you know, it goes back to that you know, anthology series with standing sets that sold the original series, right? We'll do a Western one week, we'll do, you know, sci-fi, we'll do Romans, we'll do Gladiators, we'll do World War II, and we're going to do musicals, gosh darn it. And, you know, it took, you know, a little while to get around to it, but they did. Sherry, any final thoughts for the gang tonight that has been more than generous with their time? Thank you so much.
Just thank you so much for all the wonderful Star Trek, and I usually sign off with live long and prosper, but considering the Klingon K-pop, I would just say kapla.
Well, peace and long life to you too, Sherry. Heather, what are your final thoughts?
So, thank you both so much, especially, yeah, for being so generous with your time and staying with us for the entirety of this. And for both of you being here, like, made our night. This episode, like, I will be honest, when I found out that Star Trek was doing a musical, I did not know what to expect. This wound up being the Star Trek that I like didn't know that I needed. Like I said, I have it on repeat. I can't turn it off once it's on. I have to sing along. I have to listen to it. I want more. I love it so much. And in the pre-show, we were talking a little bit about what makes it so special. And we did hit on in our conversation the fact that, these songs are relevant to the characters and their stories. They aren't just like quippy little funny nothings. Like there's relevance. They're important. They're special, and I think that makes them like so significant and so wonderful. And I love that Strange New Worlds just has so much fun with Star Trek. Like there are beautiful, heavy, important episodes, and then there's just let's have so much fun and do wild and crazy things. And you do them both so well. And I can't wait for season 3. We've still got, I think, what, one or two episodes left before
One episode. We have hegemony
one
next
episode.
week, and then we
One
jump into season
episode left,
3.
and then we jump into season 3, and I can't wait to see what you guys got for us. So I don't know, Mike, what do you got?
Beautifully said. I think this episode did more to bridge the gap between the characters that we see in Strange New Worlds and what we expect to see in the original series. Better than anything I've seen in Strange New Worlds so far. We really see the seeds, the space seeds, if you will, of how their personalities do evolve into what we see later. And again, I'm just gonna leave what I really took away from this episode. I mean, we asked the question normally: does this episode hold up? It's a very vague question. For me, it means, was it worth my time to consume this? Okay. And when I think about just the lesson that I got out of it, that we rise by lifting others, that our connection to everybody else and what we do to help us all do better, that was well worth my time. And I will take that message with me as I go out and try to live my life. So thank you, both of us, for putting that out there into the world. And I'll leave you with final thoughts. And thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for your generosity for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. This was a blast. This episode brings us a lot of joy, so we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 more seasons to talk about, and we'd love to see both of you back here sometime in the not too distant future. Thank you so much for being here, and I will end up by saying Mission Log is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, technical production on Mission Log and Mission Log Live by the immeasurably idolized Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry podcasts. If you would like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog. And next Monday, as Heather alluded to, we're wrapping up season 2 of Strange New Worlds. Thanks to everyone who's joined us live or later. We look forward to seeing you all next week.